To be honest, I think when we separate, we never think about the children and what repercussions those children are going to face. And it is only now, and it is quite unspoken. When I look at my 19-year-old daughter, I can tell, and it's conversations I have with her, and I know she's not very free to come out and talk about it and basically talk about what she went through at that particular point. But you're talking about a girl who at that particular point was around 12.
11, 12
exactly.
Yes, yeah.
She was around 12 years old. And she's now having to fill into that role of a mother because now she has younger siblings. And she is the eldest at that particular point. So the brother and the sister are now looking up to her. And to be honest, she stopped being a baby in my eyes at that particular point because there were other babies in the picture who are younger than her. And I started treating her like a teenager, which I shouldn't have. Because I know what exactly is happening.
Yeah.
So I went to the supermarket.
Yeah.
Did
you even know what size to?
No, that's what I'm saying. I just literally I remember I bought 3 different pads at that particular point.
Yeah.
And looked for the ones with the young girls that had pictures of a young girl. Took the pads home.
Yeah.
Then I had to tell her, you know what, call your Auntie Camille, have that conversation. She'll take you through the rest of the process. Because just because I made certain mistakes when I was a teenager does not mean my son will make the same mistakes. So it doesn't mean I necessarily have to have similar conversations with them, because as much as there are some identical things that we are going through or which I have lived through, it is also fair to allow that boy to go through that process themselves. Let them learn from that particular process. The same way we learned, we were able to maneuver through it. You being a single parent, you have to give both tough love and soft love at the same time. So at some point, these children are not able to separate the two dads. Like basically, like when I look at Zena now.
Life is messy, beautiful, complicated. We juggle family, work, love, and its expectations, but sometimes we just need to talk about it out loud. This is that space, a place to laugh at the chaos, honor the challenges, and celebrate the wins, both big and small, where stories are shared, hearts are open, and no one is pretending. Authenticity is welcome here. So pour your tea and join me, because there's a space and a seat here for every version of you. This is Conversations with Kũi. Welcome to Conversations with Kũi, a safe space for hard truths and radical vulnerability, where we talk about the lives that we're actually living. I'm your host, Dr. Kũi Mũraya, and today we're talking about single fatherhood. With me today is Sammy Muraya, who has journeyed this path of single fatherhood for the last 8 years, raising 2 girls and a boy. And in case anyone is wondering about our shared last name, Sammy also happens to be my cousin. So let's get that one out of the way. Sammy, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for your willingness to take the time to come and talk to us about this very important topic that I think is invisible in many ways. And I also really applaud your courage for your willingness to come and talk about your story publicly and kind of help us understand single fatherhood through your own lived experience. But before we get into it, maybe you can tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sammy Muraya, just like you've rightfully said. A journalist, not practicing in a media house anymore, though once in a while you'll see me on TV here and there. Mostly doing sports. I'm into development journalism, so I've been in the development world for quite a while now, since the year 2009, on and off. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm a father of 3, a 19-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old boy, and a 10-year-old girl. So those are the 3 children that I'm raising, or I have been raising for the last 8 years.
Yeah,
and who I'll raise basically for my own entire life.
Correct.
To be honest.
Parenting never stops. I'm in my early 40s and I feel like my parents, especially my dad, still raises me sometimes. Like I always still go to him for advice, for counsel, for consultation. So you're right. And I can't believe that your first two children are already teenagers. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we do, because there might be some listeners out there wondering, okay, how did he end up becoming a single father? So in your own words and in as much or as little detail as you want to use, maybe just give us a summary of or how you ended up being a single father 8 years ago.
Like I said, I've been working in development journalism since 2008. And in a way, it contributed to the circumstances because I had to leave the country, go to South Sudan, where I worked for a pretty long period of time. And I believe during that period, my then wife and I started falling apart. A long-distance relationship just wasn't working. I remember in 2011, I decided to quit my job, come back home, try to work on the relationship. But then I think at that particular point where you've been apart for a pretty long time, it becomes a bit difficult to try and piece things together. And to be fair to her, you can imagine somebody being alone over a period of 3 years, and then you want to come back and be domineering, be back in their lives. It's also not easy on that particular aspect. So it's also good to be fair and balance both sides and say, I think we sat down and we realized it just wasn't working. We had our first separation in around 2012. Then we reconciled around 2014, but then in 2017, that it was it. We just called it quits. We just realized it wasn't working. And I think in relationships, there are points where we don't realize it's no longer working. We try to force issues, and that is why it ends up becoming toxic. So ours was a very amicable kind of arrangement where we just told ourselves it is not working. Let's go our separate ways and let's raise our children. Yeah.
I was going to ask you this later, but I think I'll bring it now in the context of everything you've just said. So right now, I do feel like separation and divorce are also becoming a quite commonplace in our society. What would you tell a young man who is in the position you are in some years ago, who's trying to navigate separation and divorce and and you have shared children and that decision? What would you say to them?
Truth be told, it's not as easy as I'm making it sound. It becomes very difficult, and I think one of the things that we men don't even acknowledge is the fact that we don't talk. So even going that process in itself for us as men is extremely more difficult. In fact, I think you might have noticed I stayed away from family functions for
I did.
around 3 years, where I blacked out everyone. I was not talking to people. It was all about me and my children at that particular point. And it was all about coming to terms with things, what had just happened, what society thought about me, what family thought about me at that particular point. And I can tell you, I had aunties especially and my own mother who were really pushing me to get back into the marriage. And at that particular point, to be honest, I knew it was never going to work. And in terms of advising people, what I always say is if it gets to that point where you realize you're more likely to start stabbing each other in your sleep or choking each other up with pillows, it's time to leave. There's no need to force it. And if sometime down the line you realize that that person is for you, because it does happen. You can be separated for up to 10, 15 years. And I've seen it happen where people still come back together and to tell each other, you know what, I think we made rash decisions at that particular point. We shouldn't have. There's still a chance to do things. Then you can at that particular point take matters into your own hands at that point. But me, I'll never say force issues. Don't force issues. If it's not working, it's not working. Don't get to a point where it becomes violent, where you start beating each other up, where also now you basically both of you start looking for other things to occupy that particular space that is not being filled by that partner that you're with at that particular time. Yes.
Okay. I hear you. And I do feel like we need a whole separate podcast just to really talk about separation and divorce and navigating that in a healthy way, because also there are children involved.
Exactly.
And then what does that mean? But then I want to also ask about support systems, because you are right. I did also notice that at some point when you were going through this, you kind of withdrew from the family for a period of time. Do you think that was? Do you think that's would? What I'm trying to say, I don't think there's any right or wrong. But what is the role of support systems when you're going through something like that? Both when you're going through something like that, and then in your own journey now as a single father, what is the role of support systems?
Well, truth be told, if the separation was to happen today,
Yeah.
I'd do things completely differently
Okay.
from the way I did back then.
Uh-huh.
And why
What
would
would
I
you do
do
differently?
exactly? Why would I do things differently?
Yeah.
I think separating myself from family at that particular point was not a very good idea, because what I failed to realize at that particular point was the support system you're talking about is not just about myself. It's also about the children. And the children are already missing a very big component in their life, and that was their mother at that particular point. And when we separated, at first, it wasn't as much as I said, yes, it was amicable. We agreed, let's separate. There was still some animosity between us, because at the end of the day, this is somebody that we had stayed together. We got married in 2008. So, and we had our firstborn in 2006. We are separating in 2017. Yeah. So that is a whole 12 years of being in each other's space, 12, 13 years. And we had known each other before that, to be honest. Yeah. So this is somebody that you're now plucking out of your life. Yeah. And this is somebody you've known that this is my whole world at that particular point. My daughter then, the last born, was 2 years old. Yeah. So this is a child who was at a space that she really, really needed her mother at that particular point. And us now saying, let's go our separate ways was very selfish of us as well. And even at that point, deciding who was going to be left with the children, because I ended up being left with the children. It was never a conversation that we had.
Okay.
Because it was a thing of, I think we need to split. So the easiest was, okay, me, I'm packing my things, I'm leaving. And I was like, okay, you leave.
Yeah.
But it is something that is done out of spite, out of anger. Yeah. That you look at now and you're like, no, I think Zena should have gone with the mother at that particular point because she missed that love. Yeah. And in fact, between us separating and her being in Zena's life, there was a gap of almost 1.5 years. So you can imagine now you're coming to see a child who's 3, who started going to school, who's still trying to understand the dynamics of like being in a family, having a father, having a mother. You're just joining baby class at that point. So every other child is talking about a mom and a dad. Yes. So you're the only one who always talks about your dad. And when you ask about your mom, she's not been in the picture for quite a while. So in terms of doing things separately, I think those are some of the things I would have done at that particular point. I would have involved more female relatives at that particular point, because there was also that bit where I feel they needed to fill that space. And to be honest, I think when we separate, we never think about the children and what repercussions those children are going to face. And it is only now, and it is quite unspoken, when I look at my 19-year-old daughter, I can tell, and it's conversations I have with her, and I know she's not very free to come out and talk about it and basically talk about what she went through at that particular point. But you're talking about a girl who at that particular point was around 12.
11, 12
exactly.
Yes,
She was around 12 years old. And she's now having to fill into that role of a mother, because now she has younger siblings. And she is the eldest at that particular point. So the brother and the sister are now looking up to her. And to be honest, she stopped being a baby in my eyes at that particular point, because there were other babies in the picture who are younger than her. And I started treating her like a teenager, which I shouldn't have. So that's why I say I think it damaged the kids in a way. And there's a lot of covering up that happens afterwards. But those are some of the things that we need to put into consideration, even as young parents, as parents, when we are separating. And even when we start talking about, because that thing you just spoke about in terms of split families and co-parenting, which has become the in thing at this particular moment, it is a good thing. But at the end of the day, it is also not a very good thing. Yeah. But just being there as two parents for your children is very, very important.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I hear you. And I also hear what you're saying about the impact on the children. But I think you've been an amazing dad, honestly.
Thank you.
I have seen you navigate this journey, and I think the kids will be fine. I think whatever is needed to be done to get them through it and to get them to their place of healing, I think you will figure it out and it'll be done. But I am curious about what it's been like raising girls, and especially your eldest, because she was probably pre-puberty by the time you're separating, and then she's having to navigate puberty, adolescence, now into young womanhood. What has that been like raising? Because it's unusual that it's a father alone raising in our society. Certainly, It's unusual that it's a father alone raising the children, and especially the girl children. Let's talk about that. What has it been like raising your eldest and walking with her through this journey of adolescence and puberty and young womanhood? I don't know. Can she talk to you about boys and things like that?
It's not been easy.
Okay.
It's not been easy. And why I say so is, like I said, I feel I was very unfair to her. Because unfair in terms of how things happened at that particular point. And like I said, I stopped looking at her as a child because at that particular point, I was more concentrated on the brother and the sister. And because I was looking at her, yes, you're a child still. And I kept on, in fact, it's something even today, I still have to remind her, you're still my child at the end of the day. You're not your brother's mother. You're just an elder sister. And you need to go through that childhood. Yeah. Because it is important. It is a stage in life that you have to go through. And some of the aspects that we miss out on and which we later see in people in life, and I speak this through experience in terms of seeing it through other people, is you'll miss your childhood stage. You will leave that stage when you are way older. When now people are expecting so much from you. But at that particular point, that is when now you're going through that child stage. You want to be babied. You want to be, you want to be in your own space as a baby to be taken care of. So it is something I keep on reminding her. But raising a girl, and especially a teenage girl, in fact, you can imagine how uncomfortable the period conversation was.
Yes.
Because I think for me, some of the most uncomfortable conversations we've had, that was one of them.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, I also had a younger sister. So seeing my sister grow and the fact that we were in the same space also helped me a lot, because we were also raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
So I was there for my sister through a lot of those stages. And as much as I couldn't understand what was going on, it was easy. Because I had a sister that I could run to. So, because I remember it was a very weird conversation. So, Tiffany coming to me and she's like, you know what, I'm peeing blood. I'm like, what the heck? How am I supposed to handle this? Of course, I know what exactly is happening.
Yeah.
So, I went to the supermarket.
Yeah.
Did
you even know what size to?
No, that's what I'm saying. I just literally I bought 3 different pads at that particular point.
Yeah.
And looked for the ones with the young girls that had pictures of a young girl. Took the pads home.
Yeah.
Then I had to tell her, you know what, call your Auntie Camille, have that conversation. She'll take you through the rest of the process, because me, the most I can do is buy you the pads and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't understand the whole process, how to actually even put the pads on your panties.
Yes.
I do not understand. So please talk to your auntie. And of course, there was my sister, and then there was our cousin Gadoni. Gadoni also really came through at that particular point. So very uncomfortable conversation, but we lived through it.
Good.
Thank God.
And you survived it?
No, even today, she's very comfortable sending me pads. So
good.
Yeah. So
it's
now
in the
basically,
list.
it's in the shopping list. So
this is needed.
Yes. So basically, it was a very uncomfortable thing at that particular point.
Yes.
But then we maneuvered. We managed to get through it,
Yes.
and we never had that conversation again.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You're like, phew. Thank God for female relatives.
I know. And that's why I keep on saying again, keeping my female relatives around earlier would have helped, because there are certain conversations that would have been happening at that particular point.
Yeah.
And why I even kept them away was also, like, from my own perspective, was also to try and protect them, because I could hear the negative vibe that was coming from relatives, from my own relatives, because for them, they were not understanding you as a man, like you said.
Yeah.
Why are you being left with children? Okay, fine. And it could be children, but they're girls. No, you see, that's the thing. And they're girls. And my question to them was, why not?
Why not?
I have been,
of the
and it's not just being the father.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, and also not to be unfair to the mother.
Correct.
But truth be told, even when the mother was there, I was more of the caregiver to the children than the mother was.
So you've always been a hands-on
So
dad.
I was always that hands-on dad where my children were involved. I was always there. I have always been there. And that is why even when she left, she knew her kids were going to be in good hands. I believe so. We've never had that conversation, but I still believe even today, she knows leaving the children with me was the best decision at that particular point. But in terms of discussing boys, I have tried to have that conversation.
Maybe you're not the right person.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
the thing.
it's the female relatives again. We don't know.
Exactly.
We'll have to navigate that one.
I have tried that conversation. I know there's been a few hits and misses with boys, with girls. So I've gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? You do you.
Yes.
For now, all I need you to do is study.
Yes.
So I'll concentrate on your studies. Your relationships are entirely up to you.
Yeah.
The day you feel comfortable coming to talk about it, let's have that
conversation.
And I believe I'm very open in terms of very open-minded in terms of relationships and how to go about relationships also. So basically, it's not something that gives me pressure.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe that's the thing to do, is to create a space where they feel when they're ready, they can come and talk to you about, because you don't want to force it either way, right? So I think maybe it's more important to like create a space for them to know, okay, when I'm ready, I can always have this conversation with dad. But I also want to know, what's been the difference raising a girl and like a teenage girl and a teenage boy, or raising the girls versus raising a boy? What's the difference? If there's any.
Well,
if there's none.
Is there a difference? To me, there isn't.
Okay.
Because the dynamics are the same. They're still your babies at the end of the day. Yeah. And of course, apart from the bodily changes and things, and of course, having conversations, because now it's the conversations you're talking about. Talking to the boy is easier. I have gone through it. I can talk about my experience. But at the end of the day, this is also somebody who also does not want to live life the way you lived it. They have to live their own life. So you have to allow them their own space, allow them their own freedom. So at the end of the day, there's always that question of, is it easier to raise a boy than it is to raise a girl? And I'll tell you, no, it's not any easy. In fact, right now, I think I'm finding it really, really, really difficult now with my son as he goes through his teenagehood, because I'm seeing him making similar mistakes that I also did. And I feel also as parents, sometimes we overstep our mandate. And why am I saying we overstep our mandate? Just because I made certain mistakes when I was a teenager does not mean my son will make the same mistakes. So it doesn't mean I necessarily have to have similar conversations with them, because as much as there are some identical things that we are going through or which I have lived through, it is also fair to allow that boy to go through that process themselves. Let them learn from that particular process, the same way we learned, we were able to maneuver through it, because it's part of growth. And I think that is why when we even look at the way we have been getting a lot of complaints about how generations are coming up, how generations are transitioning, it's because we are treating our children with kids' gloves. Yeah, we don't want them to go through some of the rough patches that we ourselves went through. And to be honest, those rough patches are there as lessons. They are there as experiences.
Part of your growth.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for you to be able to move from step 1 to step 2, then there are certain things that you have to go through. There are certain experiences that you have to experience. So those are things that you cannot micromanage or literally teach.
Yeah.
So that's why personally now I feel it's more difficult to raise a boy for me.
Yeah.
Because now I have to separate myself from my own boyhood. Me as that boy.
Yeah.
Because yes, I can see my life through him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's a different person.
Yeah.
He's not me.
Yeah.
And he does not think like me.
Yeah.
He doesn't do things the way I do.
Yeah.
But
he's been exposed to different things.
Exactly.
Someone once told me, be very careful not to short circuit someone else's growth. Because I do think sometimes out of love and wanting to protect, it could be anyone, right? It could be your child, your sibling, your friend. You're really trying to protect them. But then sometimes it's like you have to let them go through their own process, their own journey of growth. Because, as you're saying, these difficulties, they are lessons.
Exactly.
They're teaching points. They are part of their growth, So I definitely hear what you're saying. And again, I repeat what I said before. I think maybe even for the boy child, maybe the thing is to create a space where they know I can always go talk to dad about this. Like, even if it's not dad imposing, but it's like there's that space where I know I can go talk to dad about this if needed.
Yeah. But now the most unfortunate thing,
and
it's only fair now to talk about this, because single parenting, and this is on both extremes, is not easy. And I speak about it now from my own experience. And the reason why I'm saying so is because you being a single parent, you have to give both tough love and soft love at the same time. So at some point, these children are not able to separate the two dads. Like basically, like when I look at Zena now, sometimes she does not understand when I'm really tough on her, because I have to be tough on her on certain aspects. But at the same time, there's a point where I will cuddle her because she's still a child at that particular point. So with the teenagers now is where it becomes more pronounced, because now you notice they're more scared to come and talk to you because basically you've already shown them that tough side. And with my first daughter now, Tiffany, what I've been trying to do, we've been having more easier conversations now after high school, because I had to soften my stance on a lot of things. Because the moment she turned 18, I also now realized I was dealing with an adult. It's no longer a child. As much as she is my child, she's not a child anymore. So even how you handle things, how you talk to her, you're now talking to an adult. So you sit down and have a conversation. It is not you now talking down at them, trying to tell them what to do, what they should do, what is right, what is wrong. No. Now this is you allowing them that space. And you're right in saying you have to create that space. So I have easier conversations now with my daughter than I did 2 years ago.
This is with your teenage daughter.
Yes, with my teenage daughter than I did 2 years ago.
So you've also had to transition your parenting style with her.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
And even the way I talk to her now is not the same way I talk to the brother. And I know most likely they'll watch this and they will not understand.
I will make sure they watch this.
But the truth of the matter is there are certain things you look at, and especially when you look at academics and you notice these kids are very bright. But at the same time, they are jokers. So you have to, like, I had to take away Liam's gadgets, his laptop, his phone, and he does not understand. But then the thing is, boss, I'm here as your parent, and as much... There's what you aspire to be in life, which is you want to be a gamer, create your own games. But that does not necessarily mean you have to be PlayStationing here 24 hours a day when you're supposed to be studying. When you're in school, your grades are not doing well. So I have to take away all these gadgets. And I hope you understand it is not from a point of hate. It is from a point of love. I am doing this because I know in a year or two, right now you're in Form 2. This is the period when you're supposed to be concentrating on your studies at this particular point. Because whatever you'll do in your KCSE is what you are taught in Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3. It's never what you are taught in Form 4. So it's being able to make him understand. And yes, he was pissed off.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is because I took away his gadgets when he was going for second term. So he came for the holidays this time round, and he's like, now, literally day one. He hasn't improved on his grades, but day one, he's already trying to now have a conversation with me. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Can you return my gadgets? I'm like, boss, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
I need to see that there's something you're doing to achieve, to even improve in school. So it's not about you feeling I'm being very tough on you. So right now I'll be tough on you.
Yeah.
But I hope down the line, and that's exactly what I told him. I hope in 4 or 5 years down the line, you'll sit back and you'll realize I was not doing this to punish you. I was doing this to help you. So that creating that balance.
Yeah. But I think you're also
literally very important.
Yeah. And you're teaching him something very important in life that, sometimes like you have to do the work to gain something. You just don't get something without doing the work.
Exactly.
So Liam, when you watch this, Daddy loves you and everything he does for you is out of love. But I also want us to talk briefly about raising a very young child, because as you said, Zena, who's your youngest, by the time you were separating, she was about 2 years old.
Yes.
And then, you've raised her this whole time. That could not have been easy. And I dare say, especially for a man, given our society and how, men are socialized and all that. I mean, I think that would have been a very difficult thing to go through.
It was a difficult thing to go through.
Yeah.
Because this was a kid that was still in diapers. A kid who wasn't speaking when she was 2. So she really couldn't even defend herself. She didn't know what she wanted at that particular point. And juggling different house girls, because now this is a child that is being raised by house girls. Yeah. And it's very funny that even recently we were having a conversation about the house helps that we've had. And the ones she remembers are the ones who used to beat her when she was a child. And being able now to come home every day, ensure that this child is okay, this child is fed, this child is not going through any trauma is not an easy thing. And even being able to read this child's body language, because at some point you could realize when you raise your hand like this, you notice this child is panicking, almost running away and stuff. So being able to talk to her, being able to understand by the time, because she started speaking a bit late, when she was past 3 years. By then she had already gone for play group. But that also in itself helped because her going to school and her having a different environment, having other children she was playing with, and her starting to open up became a bit easier. And one of the things you'll realize now is Zena is now my most vocal child. And most vocal because from a very early stage, from at that particular point, I started instilling the whole thing of you have to learn how to speak out. When somebody beats you, let me know. If somebody does something to you, because there are also predators out there, to be honest. Yeah. So there are certain cautions that you have to put in place way early, because you also want to raise this child in a way that she doesn't get scared of society, and she also gets to live her life, enjoy herself at that particular point. And even that transition, when I spoke about there was a period where there was a gap, and even during the COVID-19 period where you're separated, you're alone with these children. So that's when now the mom came back into the picture. And of course, she started picking them every weekend. And during that COVID period, they also stayed together for a pretty long time, and it helped. Good. So one of the things I've always emphasized, and this is, again, like I said, is something I would advise other couples going through this, because this thing of trying to keep away children from one parent or the other is very silly, because at the end of the day, these children need both parents. It does not necessarily matter what you have gone through with that other person. Like the two of you as a couple. Yeah. And because that's where we've always gone wrong. It's always been about me as Muraya or you as Kũi. We look at it from our own very selfish perspectives. It should be more wholesome. What are these children going through? Like I've already told you, there are certain things I notice about Tiffany And I know it is a repercussion of that particular separation. Even when I talk about her grades, because her grades dropping, where you have a child who was getting very good grades in a previous term. After the separation, she goes back to school. You notice she's dropped like over 300 marks from a 500, from a 400 and something to 100 and something. Of course, that transition has not come out of nowhere. It is because of what that child is seeing within that particular homestead, within that particular space. And they are crying out for something. They not just love. There is a message they're also trying to pass across to you at that particular point, because even they feel, and I know there are certain conversations that have been had. I've tried to have that conversation with Tiffany. She's also not been very comfortable talking about it. But I've had a conversation with one of her high school teachers who came and told me, your separation affected your child in a very big way, and you guys should also have looked for a way to just sit down with her and constantly keep talking about, yes, we are separated, but we both love you.
Yes.
We both have you as parents. And even when we meet, because we are not hostile with each other, literally, even when we meet in the same spaces, try as much as possible to show these children that they were created out of love, not out of hate.
Correct.
Because that is the other thing, where the children also start feeling like they contributed to your separation. And that is not factual. The separation is entirely between two adults. The children have nothing to do about it. And there is no need to punish the child. So, and that is where we go wrong. We punish the children because of our own selfish needs, our own selfish beliefs. And I think it's about time we started separating that. So me, I've always been a very firm believer of that. And I know my ex and I at some point, like I said, had gone on to each other's necks and everything. But one of the things I've kept on emphasizing, in fact, I'll ask her every so often if she doesn't come and pick them for 2 or 3 weeks. I'll ask her, hey, so when are you planning?
When are you planning?
Yeah, because I know she is a very important part of those children's lives. So it doesn't matter that we separated. No, the children come first. The children have needs. The children need both parents. And right now, to be honest, even for Tiffany, as much as she might feel comfortable coming to tell me some things, I think she might feel it easier talking to the mother or to the aunties, for that matter. So there are things she will not come and tell me as a girl, that she'll look for a lady to confide in within her own space. So
But when I hear you speaking, Sammy, one thing comes to mind. I like this Maya Angelou quote that goes something like, you did what you knew how to do. When you knew better, you did better. Because what I'm really hearing you say when I hear you talk is just the growth that has even happened for you over those 8 years, from a time when it was me, and this thing's gone down this way and I'm angry and this is happening, to transitioning to a place of like, actually, we could have handled things better. We could have done things better for the sake of the children. Okay, this is where we are at right now. How do we make this work? To me, that really shows a lot of like growth, and even I dare say some healing that's happening, because you have to get to a particular point to even be able to do what you're doing now. Some level of healing has to have happened. So I think you kudos to you. You should be very proud of the journey you've gone through. You have alluded to stigma throughout our conversation. You've been alluding to kind of stigma and that sort of thing, whether it's from I imagine mostly from families. Women, aunties, women, we need to stop stigmatizing people. But anyway, let's talk about stigma. Whether it's the stigma you experience because of separation and divorce, or whether it's a stigma you experience because of being a single father. Tell me more about that.
I think the most hurting is from family. Because initially what you really expect from family is support. Because at that particular point, as much as you might have said, you might come and blame me. Yes, it is. And the funniest thing is anytime you tell somebody that you're separated, you as a man, the first thing that comes out, what did you do?
Guilty.
It's always the man. It is never the lady.
Okay, with my cousins, I'll do that. Maybe because I know you guys. So I'll be like, what did you do?
I know. But I feel that what did you do question at that particular point is not important. it has happened.
And it's harmful anyway.
Yes, it has already happened.
Yeah.
So fine, I might have messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be my mess up. It might not be my mess up, but it might be my mess up as well. But at the end of the day, what I really need from you at this particular point is your support. Do not start talking bad stuff behind my back. Bad mouthing me behind my back. Where I come into spaces and you notice people whispering around the corners, and these are people that are very close to you. And interventions, because several interventions happened.
Yep, I have no doubts. I didn't know, but I have no doubts they did.
No, several interventions happened. And also now standing firm.
Yeah.
And telling people with regard to as fathers, as your fathers, you know what? I've made up my mind.
Yes.
There's no turning back.
Yep.
This is the space I am in.
Yeah.
You either live it or live with it.
Yes.
Ama you guys just stay away from me,
Yeah.
And that contributed in me just staying away from family.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was like, you know what? If every function I'm going to be the topic of discussion, my children are going to be the topic of discussion, I don't want to put them through that.
Yeah.
It is
Or
not
put
their
yourself
mistake. Exactly.
through that, yeah.
And to me at that particular point, it was about the kids. I do not want to put my children through. I'm a grown-up. I can handle criticism. I can handle any stuff that guys talk about. That is something I can be able to handle. I have an 11-year-old who can hear what you guys are saying, who can see how literally you've already decided they are orphans even before they become orphans, because yes, their parents might have separated, but you're already treating these children like orphans. They're feeling like orphans, and that misplaced love at that particular point, and a lot of bad stuff that is being said that they can hear was not helpful. But I believe this has changed. Okay. Along the way, and it has changed in a very big way. In that right now there's a lot of respect, not only from my uncles, my aunties, as in most of the relatives who initially were very sure I was not going to do it. I was never going to make it, and I understand. Again, that's why I keep on saying I also understand where they were coming from, because this was something pretty new. In our family. So we also have Uncle Karis, who's also been there because Auntie has been out of the country for so long. Yeah. But you see, theirs was different because these are two people, just that they're living in different places.
Yes.
But mine was new.
Yeah.
This is now you deciding the mother is still around.
Yeah.
We still believe you guys should be together.
Yes.
Marriage is this. Yeah. Well,
yes. Yes.
Anyway.
I know.
So for me at that particular point, it was you guys, what I am crying out for is your support at this particular point. I do not want your advice.
Yeah.
I do not want you to tell me what I should be doing, because you've not lived through this experience.
Yeah.
So it is not something you are experienced in for you to be able to advise me.
Tell me, yes.
Yeah.
But so what does support look like practically? So what would you have wanted at that point? Is it I pick up the phone and be like, Sammy, can I come and take the kids for an afternoon? Like, what does support actually look like?
Well, support is, my partner and I have agreed to separate.
Yeah.
So I have these children.
Yeah.
Don't treat these children any differently than you are before. Same way you are treating them before, continue doing the same.
Yeah.
Don't start showing special love and the special affection.
Yeah.
No. They are still the same children. They never changed.
Yeah.
For me as well, at that particular point, I did not need anybody's advice.
Yeah.
I just needed people who could come and have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Without being criticized, without feeling like the whole society was standing now against me at that particular point.
Yeah.
And it does that, and not just to me, but to a lot of fathers, to be honest. A lot of single fathers will tell you one of the biggest problems they have is that. And it is not just from family. I could post something about being a single father. I had friends who would call me and tell me, Boss, Abu, pull that down. And I'm like,
Why
boss,
though?
but why am I pulling it down?
Yeah.
I am a single father, and I am a proud single father.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me declaring I am one.
Yeah.
Because I am one.
Yeah.
And that is not going to change anytime soon. Because at that particular point, that is what I kept on telling people.
Yeah.
It is something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
I have nothing against it.
Yeah.
And it is also about time we as fathers also started talking, finding spaces where we can literally come and be able to talk about these challenges that we are facing.
Yeah.
And because it's not easy for us as men, because naturally we are not taught how to nurture.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to raise children.
Yeah.
Ladies are taught how to raise children because you're told it's your responsibility from the word go. In fact, I think for me, it was learning as I was going, but also lessons from my own mother. And this is where now also sometimes, as much as we do not want to say it out loudly, but you look back and you're like, Mom, there are certain things that I was seeing you doing that helped me raise my own children because you raised me as a single parent. I was able to maneuver that single parenthood, and I'm still maneuvering through that single parenthood because of that.
Love it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about some joys. What have been the joys of single fatherhood? Because I think we've talked a lot about kind of the challenges and so on. And I don't want people to think it's all doom and gloom.
It's all gloom.
Yes. Like, what have been some of the joys of parenting as a single father?
Well, if I talk about the joys, I'll be very selfish. Because now it will be, and I'm saying
Someone
it's from
told
a
me,
very
Sammy, we need to learn to
perspective.
sanitize the word selfish. We always think of, like, if, you say, me, I like doing this, or I like my rest. You're so selfish, unajipenda. We need to learn to, like, sanitize that word selfish. Because being selfish can sometimes be a good thing. Sometimes it's useful.
No, but why I say it's very selfish? It's because I look at it, and personally, if you ask me every time I'm asked by somebody, I'm like, I have my peace of mind. I have my children. I am happy.
Good.
That's
good.
Because at that particular point, you're like, I have no one asking me questions. Where are you? Where are you coming from at this particular point?
But then you have to be asked now.
No, I'm going there. I'm going there because there are those lonely days as well, where you're like, okay, these are my children, and they're my blood, and that will never change. So basically, they will always be part of you. That is never going to change, no matter what happens. But at the end of the day, you also need companionship, right? So it as much as you're happy, because me, I can tell you as a man, I'm always like, I'm very comfortable. I was left with my children. I'm raising my children. I see them every day, and it is also from a point of seeing other men struggle, who are also co-parenting with ladies and who are denied that opportunity to see their children. And that's why even earlier on, I was talking about that particular aspect, because when the coin is flipped to the other end, I have seen men who really go through the pains to see their children. So that's why for me, I said it, for me, it's a very selfish point of view. Because I'm like, me, I'm happy. Me, I have my children. I get to see my children every other day, and I am their primary parent at that particular space. And you see, even when we went through a divorce process, I think one of the things we agreed to at that particular point, and one of the things I said I would never do, was start discussing custody of the children. Because at that particular point, and again, this is not judging those parents who go through that particular process. I feel that thing of having to decide how you're going to split the children also affects them in the long run. So for me, custody was never an issue. It never came up. It was, this is you and I parting ways. So this is us divorcing. The children are not in the picture. The children will always be our children. When they get to the age of 18, they get to decide at that particular point. And we're also not putting them in a space where they decide which parent to go to or which parent no. We are both going to be in their lives no matter what. So for me, at that particular point, it is something I'll always insist on. We are both going to be there, whether they love us, whether they hate us. That is a child-parent relationship, or even we ourselves have periods where we don't agree with our parents. We don't even speak for long periods of time. But at the end of the day, you realize this is your parent, this is your child. you have to reach out. So for me, it has been a joy.
Good.
It has been a total joy.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'll put it like from a very selfish perspective.
Yeah.
Because just being in that space where I know I have my 3 children.
Yeah.
And yes, again, I know I'll go back to the challenges because I'll talk about how tough. Because now, as a man, as a lady, you will go and ask the other person to help you support these children. But for me, as a man, I have to do literally everything because the fact that I have the children means like
You're
everything
both
they
provider and
need.
nurturer.
Yes, I have to literally like it's 100% me.
Yeah.
And there is no period where I'll come to the other side. And there are times I struggle and I go and the support is there.
Yeah.
But you realize the bulk of it will always lie on me.
Yeah.
But single parenthood is not bad. Single fatherhood for me has taught me so much in terms of patience, has taught me a lot in terms of aspects of life and just the way I look at life wholesomely.
Yeah. And I really want to emphasize the thing you are raising because I also know people in, whether it's friends or whoever who have really struggled to access their children. Men, that is, I'm talking about men who've really struggled to access their children when they've been going through a period of divorce and separation. And so I really agree with you that it is not only, it's selfish and it punishes the children. I mean, unless it's a case of there was a crime committed, like it's for the safety of the children.
True.
But if it's just out of spite or you're trying to punish the other person, I also find that to be very wrong, very unhelpful, and actually punishes the children, not the other person.
And Kũi, one of the other things, and if you ever get to have a conversation with any of my kids, they'll tell you, I never discussed their mother with them.
Yeah.
That became a matter of principle. Good. Whatever happened between me and your mother is between me and your mother.
Yes.
You and I will never at any particular point discuss who was right, who was on the wrong, because at that point you're also now trying to tell these children, pick a side. Mm-hmm. It is not their burden.
No.
It is not their burden.
Yeah.
It is not their responsibility. Your responsibility is very simple. Whatever differences we have between us, we can have those differences. We can meet in spaces and just say hello and not utter any other single word after that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to respect your children.
Yeah.
And respecting your children means when you created those children, you didn't create those children when you hated each other.
Yes.
It was not at knife point or, it was out of love.
Yes.
So basically, always remember that. And as you remember that these children need that love throughout their lives.
Yeah.
Throughout their lives, for as long as you also are alive.
Yeah.
They will always come to you for counsel or for one thing or another. They'll go to the mother for one thing or another.
Yeah.
So those are things that we have to accept.
Yeah.
And even these things of us as parents trying to basically alienate the children against one parent or the other is totally wrong. It is not that child's space to carry your burden. And I think that is the other thing that even we as parents need to acknowledge. That child needs to be a child, needs to understand the innocence of life and even relationships because, and again, I come back to the question you had asked me about whether my daughter will discuss boys with me or her relationships. And I think it becomes more difficult for them to date because they're already seeing a direct relationship that hasn't worked. So it is also, and why I say we need to separate ourselves is to also let these children understand that while this relationship didn't work, it doesn't mean yours won't work. Give yours a try. If you get somebody, give yours a try. If it doesn't work, go to somebody else.
Yes.
That is life.
That's life.
That is
You're
life.
right.
It is the same way you're never like, you can work for so many different organizations. But at the end of the day, you have different relationships with all these different people.
Yeah.
But you don't become enemies.
Yeah.
So that is the dating cycle.
Yes.
That is the relationship cycle.
Yes.
That is why we have so many friends, even at different stages of life.
Correct.
You will make different friends as you walk.
Some will drop off, some will stay for the long haul. That's life.
That is life.
I want us to start coming to a close. But before we do, you mentioned companionship.
Yes.
And I want to know, tell me about dating as a single dad. Because I have single mom friends and, I know sometimes there can be challenges when you're dating as a single mother with children and everything. What's that like when you're a single dad?
Well, it's not easy.
Okay.
It's not easy. And why I say it's not easy, first of all, if I'm being very honest, for a lot of ladies, it is a pull. And I've seen it happen several times when you mentioned Kwanzaa, you're a single dad. Who is the mother in the picture? No. So there's that kind of interest. But at
That's
the same
good.
time, no, it's a
good
good
for
thing.
you.
No, it is good for me. But then I'm coming to the other side.
Okay.
So yes, it is good for me. It has its own pull.
Yeah.
But then I have kept on insisting something, which is it is not just about me.
Yeah.
And the reason why for 8 years I'm still talking about being a single parent, it's not like I've not dated within those 8 years. I have dated.
Yeah.
I've had relationships where I keep asking myself, is this person, and now that's where the big question comes in, is this person right for my children? Because that will always be the first question.
I like that. Repeat that. Is this person right for my children?
Well, it is not the right way to look at things, but it still has to be a very key factor. And in fact, one of the things I've even, and I know this might blow back at me, but one of the things I even kept on saying is, I think I'll settle again once Tiffany is out of college and literally in her own space. Because and why I'm saying so is because I think we also grew up in a society where we saw stepmothers really punishing children. I grew up with friends that, and I'm not saying all the girls I've dated are like that. No, please don't get me wrong. Yeah. All I'm saying
we're talking generally.
Yeah, it's a very general conversation. So it's being able to, and that's why I say, is this person right for my children? Because you don't want to bring in somebody new. So first of all, the dynamics for these particular children are, okay, so what do we call you? Because that's usually the first question. What type of relationship are we now supposed to? Your daddy's girlfriend. You know, at the same time, you're not their mother. Your daddy's girlfriend, or you're going to be daddy's wife. But that does not necessarily mean you lord over those children. And you see now, again, that separation of love between this other person and your children is also going to be split at that particular point. And you have to make very sober decisions, very tough decisions. So yes, I have dated. Those are questions I've asked myself. I've been in a relationship where somebody was very uncomfortable getting introduced to my to my children. That for me was a red flag. I was in another one where she was very quick to hang out with the children. And I was like, so are you trying to get to me through my children, or is it about me then my children? So it's a very tricky balance and a very unfair one, especially when now I consider the other parties.
The other person,
because they have their own reasons why they are doing so. One is afraid to be too attached to the children, lest they fall off. And these are now things that you come and learn later. Like now, in case it doesn't work out between the two of you. So what happens? If you meet these children in the streets, will you still have the same relationship with them? Will you start running away from them? So for this one who was very friendly as well, at that particular point, you have fallen off. So what type of, it was within like, and I think it was a conversation I had with that person, because I felt rushing to introduce yourself, not allowing me that particular honor, because these are my children. They're not our children. You've come, found me with children. So it is up to me to introduce you to my children so that you can have a relationship with them, build a relationship with them from that particular space going forward. But then this other person is also trying to tell you, but I already have. The reason why we are already in a relationship is because there are some things that we are seeing in each other. But at the same time, I know there is this other factor, and I feel it also plays a big role. And to be fair, it's very true. Because that is also somebody being very honest. But then these are things you realize a bit too late, and you're like, okay, this has passed, ishaenda. Kama itafanyika again. And me, I'm a believer. In fact, one of the things I keep on telling people is I don't believe in parting ways in a very negative, bad way, because you never know where you'll meet down the line. Where you'll meet down the line. For me, it's always been very amicable, and even the ones that at times feel like they were very, very like bad. At a point, I'll try and reach out. I try to reach out. I try to reach out, and where I know I was wrong, and to be honest, I can be an a-hole. I can be. It's
I
am not the
admire your
easiest.
self-awareness.
Yeah, I am not one of the easiest people
Yeah.
to deal with,
Yeah.
and that is a fact that I know.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not an easy person to deal with.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that being able to acknowledge the fact that you're also wrong.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's usually a plus.
Yeah.
So if this didn't work, how did I contribute to it not working? How did I contribute to it working? So that's the way I look at it.
Are you in the market? Are you looking? Should any of our listeners,
Well, am I in the market? Did I ever leave the market?
Okay. You've had it then, ladies. He is in the market.
Yeah.
I do want us to wrap this up. But before I do, give me your parting shot.
Well, my parting shot will be very simple. Parenthood should not be seen as a job. And I think a lot of us get it wrong because we try to treat parenthood like a career. Like you're in a space where things need to work in a certain manner, things need to go in a certain way. There's a lot of learning that you're going to do along the way. So, and please don't try and rectify mistakes that you believe our parents made. And that is, again, another place where I feel we get it wrong. Because our style of parenting is, I will not do this because my parent did this, so I'll try and do things slightly differently. Where you find even doing that thing differently is also damaging to the children in the long run. Yes, show your children love, but at the same time, when it is necessary, tough
Be
love.
the parent.
Be the parent.
Yeah,
You cannot be boys with your children.
Yeah.
That stage will come.
Yes.
Because later in life, you will be boys because there's a certain age now where they stop being children and their conversations, like I said, now conversations I'm having with Tiffany are not conversations I'm having with Liam and Zena.
Yeah.
So there's the conversations with Tiffany and even with her, because even at 19, she's still not fully grown.
Yeah.
There are certain cautions
Yes.
that are still in place. There are still certain cautions that are being told to her. But guys, all I will say is parenting is a journey.
Yeah.
Just walk that journey like you do any other journey.
journey.
The way you wake up in the morning and you don't know how that day is going to be,
Yes.
that is parenthood for you.
Parenting is a journey. And also, in case any of our listeners want to kind of engage with you, reach out. Are you on socials? How can people kind of engage with you? And especially because he said he's on the market, ladies. So,
So socials, Insta, and Muraya Sam.
Okay.
The double SAMM.
Okay. At Muraya Sam.
At Muraya Sam. But search Sammy Muraya, I think you'll find, because even for Facebook, for X, it's the same Sammy Muraya, so you'll always find me.
They'll always, okay. All right, listeners, you've had it.
And for those of, because I know there are people who might also, and because I also spoke about having spaces where people talk, in case anybody also wants to have that conversation, any single parent who's going through this. It can be a man, it can be a woman, and you feel like you want to have a conversation, please, I'm happy.
I love that. I love that because I think it is so needed. Yeah. More so for single fathers because I think you're fewer and you need a lot more support. But I agree for a single parenthood. Like I think some things still apply regardless of whether you're a single dad or a single mom. So yes, so please do, if you search for Sammy Muraya on Google, as I said, he is a public figure of sorts. He's been in the media. You will find all his social media handles. We'll also make sure that we list his social media handles in our podcast description. I do want to bring this to a close now, Sammy, and to just say thank you, not just for your time, but for your honesty.
Thank you.
Your courage, your vulnerability, your just the way you've handled the last 8 years and how you continue to handle it, and then how you've just even presented yourself today in such a vulnerable manner. You know, when we were talking about this beforehand and you're like, yeah, you ask me what you want to ask me. I'm like, really?
Yeah, because I don't want to restrict you. At the end of the day, this is the other people who are going through it. 100%.
100%.
I'm not the only one.
100%. And this is so, and I feel more so for men because as you say, men don't talk. Sometimes they're looking for spaces. They don't know who to reach out to. So I do think, in one of the earlier podcasts, I said something. I said, some time back, a woman had said to me, Kũi, your wounds will be the healing of others.
That's exactly.
And I said this in an earlier podcast. I said, I see this space as a place where we unpack and explore our wounds so they can be the healing and redemption for others.
Exactly.
And I really feel that you did that today for someone out there. In fact, for many people out there. So thank you so much for your time, courage, vulnerability, honesty, everything. Dear listener, we do need to bring this to a close now. If today's conversation resonated with you or moved you, as it moved me, I found this to be such a real and honest conversation. If it moved you and you want to engage with us some more, you want to journey with us some more, you can find Conversations with Kũi from wherever you get your podcast from. We'll also have the full video episodes on YouTube. We will also make sure we list all our social media handles on the podcast description. And as I said, we'll also include Sammy Muraya's social media handles. But until next time, may we all find courage in vulnerability and freedom in living our truths. Stay well.